Avengers! Assemble.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Excelsior, a Marvel Universe podcast. I'm your director, Christian Buckley. As always, joining me for your episode for the weekend of January 14th, 2023 is the Apex legend, Jack Martin. How are you?
Excelsior, Christian. I'm doing quite well. Excited to talk about some Marvel stuff with you. How has your week been going?
It's been good. It's been quite good. Very average week, but I can't complain because of that.
That's a great description. Very average week.
It's like after college and becoming employed, every week is the same,
Sure. Yep.
That's exactly what
I get
it is.
that.
But
Yep. It's like a SpongeBob without the holes. You know that
like
episode?
a sponge. Oh yeah, I was like,
Hi, how you doing? How's the weather?
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
me and my friends always love bringing up the montage. I forget what the context is, but it's like a Family Guy style cutaway to some fish, and he's like tracked in the same spot on screen. Traffic, office, lunch, traffic.
Yeah.
Looking out his window at night. Coming to bed, honey. Yes, dear.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, what a show that SpongeBob is,
Yeah. Yep.
Well, Marvel's got some interesting stuff going on lately. Most of it is rumor, hearsay related. There is a brand new trailer for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania that we're going to talk about in the back half of the show. But, now that I'm thinking of this, in the future, we're going to have to think of some opening segments, Jack, for this, now that Fury's Report. I'm maintaining Fury's Report as like a little news breakdown because...
Yep.
that makes sense. But with Avengers, it was always just like, here's the thing,
Right.
Moving on. But for this now, as a news breakdown, I feel like we need a new opening segment. Like in the old days, we did this thing, Cast Me Baby One More Time. Remember that?
Oh, that was fun. Too bad everyone's been casted.
They have. But if I'm remembering correct, one of my casting choices was Giancarlo Esposito as Professor X.
Ooh.
And we got a little bit of a news story talking about this right now because Giancarlo Esposito popped up on Jimmy Fallon recently and gave his late night interview, and the topic of Marvel came up pretty naturally, as you would assume, because he's a Star Wars Disney actor. But he talked about Marvel and superhero stuff, specifically saying, quote, "I love what Marvel does. I love that the fans can see me in this universe and are proposing not only one character, possibly Magneto, possibly DC's Mr. Freeze, and the biggest ask is Charles Xavier. But look, I want to play a good guy, and Charles is smart. He's good. I feel as if there may be some mileage with me in Marvel. I know I love what they do. I know I love creativity, so who knows what could happen. Keep putting it out there." So... what are your thoughts on this? Typically, when we see an actor address casting rumors, I feel like it means like they're not in the conversation. But
Yeah, it seems like what he's even saying is keep talking about it to maybe nudge Marvel in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's certainly happened before with Rosario Dawson, for instance, was kind of fan casted.
Yep.
And it ended out working pretty well so far as Ahsoka in Star Wars. So it's kind of along those lines.
Krasinski.
John Krasinski, yep, that's a good point. I do think that Giancarlo Esposito could bring a really interesting presence to Charles Xavier. And for the most part, he has been typecasted as a villain in the projects he's been in. He was Gus Fring in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. He was the bad guy in Far Cry 6.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, he was the bad guy in The Mandalorian. So he kind of plays like that same or similar role across the projects he's in. So this would be really nice to see him. He has like a comforting presence on screen. So it'd be nice to actually like believe in him as the hero rather than the villain.
Yeah, and I think as a presence as an actor, whenever I see him like, in an interview, I remember I think he did something for Summer Game Fest one year. He did like a video call in. He's like very eccentric and very glowing in his presence. So like I feel like channeling that, like you're saying, into a typical heroic character like Charles Xavier would be very interesting. And from my knowledge of Professor X outside of the movies, he can be seen as a little cruel, I guess, in some comic runs, like in his leadership to people who are struggling under, the umbrella of the X-Men, and the fact that, there's that conversation depending on the portrayal they want to do. Like, he's essentially weaponizing kids to become these like fighters for justice. So if they want to tackle Professor X in a way that is warm, like you would expect out of the Patrick Stewart portrayal, but also have sort of like just like a unease where like at a moment's notice, like if you got on the bad side of Professor X, like you'd be in trouble. He would be a perfect option for that. So I really do hope that something happens there, but you know, we'll see.
Sure. Kind of Dumbledore-y in a way.
Sure, that's a very good one. Especially when they recast Dumbledore. I think Michael Gambon was the second actor.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow, I just think of like the jump from, because he would start playing him in the third one, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 3, he's a little in the background from my memory, but 4, he's intense.
Very intense, and in the books, Dumbledore, like as you learn over time, like he's more willing to do what it takes than you would think, given his like presence and the way he carries himself. And I can totally see what you're saying in regard to Charles Xavier. I feel like that is especially true with James McAvoy's performance of him.
Yeah.
Like very headstrong towards in those earlier movies.
Yeah, so I can't wait to see them explore these characters, because I think the X-Men have the most like depth behind the types of stories they typically tell. So an actor like Giancarlo Esposito, I think, would crush it. So
yeah, totally.
Fingers crossed. But speaking of other Fox-related properties, recently Hugh Jackman was also in an interview, and he said, talking about Logan and coming back to the character, he referred to Deadpool 3 as Wolverine and Deadpool, which caused Ryan Reynolds to come out and be like, whoa, bub, take it easy. So, what do you think that how they're going to like market this thing? Like, obviously, I feel like there's the level of this is going to be an MCU thing. So, do you lean on that? Do you lean on the fact that there's these characters who we've known for what feels like, with Hugh Jackman, decades, but with Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, almost decades, finally crossing over in a proper way? Like, how do you think they market that? Is it the spectacle of the MCU or the spectacle of these two icons?
Well, it depends on what the movie is about, too.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep forgetting that this is an MCU movie.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of wild. I do think a lot of it will come down to Wolverine and Deadpool, of course. Mostly that will be the focus. They've already done the old school Deadpool with Wolverine claw marks, which I think is how they marketed like the old school X-Men movies. So it seems like they're gonna like continue on with that nostalgia in terms of marketing. But it will probably be on that focus of Wolverine and Deadpool, but more specifically on Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. Because I think off camera they have a funny dynamic as well.
Yeah, I'm curious. Because they never gave an official title, they've just been saying like Deadpool 3. Do you think it's going to be called Deadpool 3, or like are we getting Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice in this?
I feel like most, and since this is an MCU movie now, most MCU movies are character name subtitle, and I feel like it'll be Deadpool something.
Wolverine's Last Ride.
Sure, something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
And this takes place before Logan, right? Don't they like take Wolverine out of time or something like that? I'm not sure like the specifics.
So I think the justification for it is that, and I think the easiest way to do this in retconning is just making Logan further down the timeline than it was set up to be in the actual film. Because what was it, like 30 years, 50, something like that?
Yeah.
Just say it was 100. be like, oh yeah, no, it was 100 years, never mind. And then it's like, oh yeah, so this thing happened before that, and you're good, you know.
Yeah, I feel like they could also just like put this movie at some point before Logan. Like they have that time to play around with because we don't know what happens from the like revised ending of Days of Futures Days of Future Past and then Logan. Like we know the X-Men sort of die off
Yeah.
in some part due to Professor X, but we kind of don't know what happens before that. So it could really be any time before that.
Yeah. Regardless, Logan is still the ending, you know. It's
Right.
like if we got a couple Star Wars movies and then it was like, okay, here's Return of the Jedi, and then suddenly we're like, well, actually let's do Revenge of the Sith. You know, it's like let's tell another story that happened, or let's tell Rogue One. You know,
This is like a Black Widow kind of.
sure. I feel like it's less egregious here, personally.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because of the proximity Black Widow had to her death.
That also felt really out of place.
Yeah, and it was also like a decade late. You know,
Yes.
like we've
Yes.
gotten plenty of Wolverine and Deadpool movies before, so that element is I don't think is going to be dragging down the conversation of like, well, like obviously we all would have loved to see this a long time ago, but I mean the fact that it's happening is just sort of a positive, and there's no real baggage behind it. I know for some people the lessening Logan's impact is baggage, but yeah, I've never been on that wavelength of I can't get into a prequel because no stakes. I understand it, but I've never been able to think like that, I guess.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you. Sometimes prequels just don't do it to me for a variety of different reasons, but it never really comes down to like stakes for me.
Yeah, because just look again, just look at Andor. I know spoilers for Rogue One. I know Cassian Andor dies, but I think that show was the most suspenseful Star Wars thing I have ever seen. So
Yeah. Yeah, for me, prequels are more annoying when they don't really justify their existence.
yeah,
I think Andor justifies its existence really well. And it's like less so even about, although they do a great job talking about Cassian and how he becomes the person we see him in Rogue One. It just is significantly better than anything else in Star Wars in terms of building that universe and really showcasing the oppression. So I feel like that justifies itself quite well. But then there are prequels that really probably shouldn't exist, like the Fantastic Beasts movies. Like, really no reason for them to exist. They don't do too much to build the world or anything like that. So those are kind of my examples there.
do you think that Wolverine and Deadpool being on screen together is enough justification for a prequel to Logan?
Sure. I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Like, for the spectacle alone.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a massive, probably the biggest Marvel movie of that year whenever it comes out box office wise. I would make that claim without even
Yeah.
knowing what else comes out that year. That's going to be the big one.
Sure.
So, what is that? Is that next year? 2024?
I think so.
Whew.
I know.
Damn. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to crush everything else. I'll say that confidently.
Yeah. No, you're right.
But
The Deadpool movies have done very well.
yeah, which, speaking of, the last time we saw both of these characters, they were both rated R.
Yeah.
Interesting thing to think about, you know?
This will definitely be rated R.
I think so, because Kevin Feige's also been pretty vocal, I feel like, in recent times, being like, yeah, well, we're open to it, you know? Like, that seems like a thing he said a lot more lately.
You got to get it done. This has to be rated R.
Oh, yeah. But you know what? Some were surprised was not rated R, Jack, was Multiverse of Madness.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good point. They could have done it. That would have been fun.
They could have. I want to see the Raimi cut.
Sure.
Give me the Raimi cut that's never been mentioned once. Let me know. Let me see it.
There has to be a director's cut for every movie.
Yeah, depending on who you ask, it's what gets put out on screen. You know, what director said that one time? Was that Nolan?
I have no clue.
There was somebody who was like, "Oh, director's cuts aren't real because it's whatever you put out on screen." It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah, ask Zack Snyder. He's got some opinions for you.
Ask PlayStation about director's cuts. Doctor Strange, though, is allegedly getting a Disney Plus spinoff via Cosmic Circus. It's being reported that a Disney Plus series, which is being referred to as Strange Academy, I don't know if that's like the actual working title or whatever project it's going to be called, but it's a series for Disney Plus that will be starring America Chavez, featuring Wong, and it's basically what you think it is. Kamartaj Hogwarts, starring Soji Gomez as America Chavez.
We've made too many Harry Potter references.
I know. I threw that in there because of how many times it's been brought up today.
We apologize. But, Christian, I usually scoff at the idea of more Disney Plus shows. However, I love the premise of this.
Me too.
Just that idea. Because I love both of them in Multiverse of Madness. I mean, Wong has been incredible since his debut. But the idea of them doing Kamartaj, maybe doing some magic stuff, maybe being a little spooky. You know how we like our Halloween stuff. Doesn't necessarily have to be like that, but maybe the vibes of Multiverse of Madness as well. That would be cool. They got that bull guy. Remember that bull guy? He'd be fun.
Yes, I was thinking about this, Jack, because I'm almost positive when we did our review, I was like, that bull guy, they hung on him and like those two other people way too much. They're going to be characters in a series. I swear I said that.
He's going to be like the main character.
Yeah, he is like the jockey older brother that America Chavez looks up to. That, yeah.
Right.
Damn. Well, yeah, I'm with you. I think this is really cool and very fun as far as concepts go for Disney Plus, which I feel like I get more excited when people behind the scenes or leakers throw out like a genre concept more so than just like this character is getting a show. So I'm down for that. But did you watch Wednesday recently?
I watched like half of the first episode. I haven't given it a fair shot yet.
Okay. It was it's very campy, but I did love it like a lot. And it's very much in that magical outcast school. There's secrets going on, main characters snooping, stuff like that. And that's a vibe I'm clearly into. So if they can replicate that, and it did very well globally, so I imagine Disney would want to chase that. So.
Sure. There's always something about the concept. I mean, you got me into My Hero Academia because of this. The concept of like kids in school and dealing with a different threat beyond that has always intrigued me. There must be people out there who are like, oh, I hate kids in school shows. I don't want this.
Yeah.
I eat them up. Like that is always a great premise for me.
Yeah, man. I don't know what it is, but like it's like very CW-y, in a way where like like when the pandemic started, I got hooked on the Vampire Diaries, and that was high school. Eventually the high school stopped being relevant, but it was like, yeah, there's vampires in the town. We got to like survive them. There's like some drama and things like that. But yeah, I like kids in school dealing with something else. There's this great game you should try also called Persona 5 that is exactly that. If you mixed kids in school with Inception.
Ooh.
So that's a good little thing you should check out, listeners. But yeah, Marvel has yet to do something like this. They're absolutely skewing younger with some of these new heroes. So yeah, fuck it. I'd watch the hell out of this. It sounds awesome.
Yeah. I think if they take the approach that Disney Plus is just the place for their weird, fun shows that have no impact on the greater MCU, then I think everyone would go in with those expectations in check. and probably have a better time. And this seems like along that line. Kind of like She-Hulk in a way.
Yeah.
That didn't really have too many ramifications for the greater MCU.
Mm-hmm.
And this seems to be similar.
Yeah, I think another element to consider is like currently with the technology that most of the shows on Disney Plus uses, they're like assimilating that into film production for Disney as well. So it's like you're really not losing much anymore, unless like a huge part of the budget is like a full CG character, like with She Hulk. There's really not much else that could like make it not feel like it's up to par in a way. In my opinion, at least from what we've seen, like they, for better or worse, have a lot of like uh, parody with current movies and current Disney Plus series in a lot of ways. So this was not possible 5 years ago, and it is now. So yeah, I don't see any reason why, outside of like getting actors to agree to doing it, that are typically film stars, that this couldn't happen or things like this. So
Yeah, could be fun.
yeah, you know what's not fun?
What's that?
Delays, depending on the industry. Um, in this case, we got a report going on. Jason Kane on Twitter at GGeneralHolt8, who is apparently somebody who has a good track record with the leaks. I have not heard of this individual before, but I saw tons of outlets running with this. I'm sure you did as well.
I believe so, yeah.
Apparently, there's a shift going on once again with the MCU slate that we may or may not hear about soon. So I can run through that and we can give some thoughts after the fact. How does that sound?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So, Twitter thread. Here we go. Shift in the movie slate. 2025 will now be Fantastic Four, Armor Wars, likely Spider-Man 4, and Shang-Chi 2. Marvel has decided to fast-track another Doctor Strange movie to come before Kang Dynasty. They want Scott Derrickson to return.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's wild.
That is interesting.
So, pausing the thread, if I remember correctly, Scott Derrickson was going to come back for Doctor Strange 2, right?
Yeah. In fact, I think he was involved for a while.
Yes. And then something happened. I forget what.
Yeah, I don't know. He made the Black Phone recently. Was that his?
Was that Ethan Hawke?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I think probably, yeah.
That is curious. I wonder why. Like, why not return with Sam Raimi? Is that a once in a lifetime? Hey man, we know you probably don't want to do more franchises, especially multiple. So here's just one movie. Is that the case?
Or Sam Raimi's busy with Sony Pictures Spider-Man 4 starring Tobey Maguire.
Goodness, goodness me, oh my.
Unlikely, but yeah, you're right. I would love to see Sam Raimi come back to wrap up this here Doctor Strange trilogy, because I love what he did with Multiverse. But I know I'm a little hotter on the first Doctor Strange than you are, but I like the other Scott Derrickson stuff I've seen. Like I saw Sinister. That was the horror movie he did with the film, right?
Yes, that's correct.
That wasn't bad. I was into that.
I liked the direction and everything that was on screen in Doctor Strange. I enjoyed. The story didn't really vibe with me.
Yeah. Did he write the first one? Do you know?
I'm unclear on that. Let me see.
Because like
He was the writer on that.
okay,
Yes,
have somebody else write it. There you go.
sure.
Get Marvel's golden boy, Michael Waldron. Get him back.
Yeah.
But yeah, not fully against it, but definitely surprised that they would not get Sam Raimi again. I wonder why.
Yeah, that's curious.
So returning to Kane's thread, 2026 would therefore be Doctor Strange 3, Kang Dynasty, and an Eternals sequel. They also state they are exploring moving Avatar 4 up to November or delay it back a year to give Secret Wars December instead of pushing Secret Wars to May 2027.
Wow. Everything seems so far away now.
I know, but it kind of isn't, you know?
No. Also, it's a good thing. I feel like Phase 4, man, was way too quick.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of them building the future of the MCU over the course of several years.
Yeah. Ideally, we get back to 2 to 3 movies a year, and like, I, my gut was just gonna say and no shows, but I mean like 4, maybe 3. You know, not like 10 projects a year.
No.
But the Way of Water lover in me is a little pissed that they might move Avatar 4 out of next year to account for. Or sorry, that's Avatar 3 I'm thinking of. Never mind, my mistake. But moving on, Armor Wars will allegedly be a West Coast Avengers movie. Ultron will return, expected to include Rhodey, Vision, Ironheart, Wonder Man, as well as Kate Bishop and potentially Shang-Chi. Which makes sense.
So like a Civil Wars type of movie.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it more than the show that it was supposed to be.
Oh, for sure. I think a little bit of a bummer was I was looking forward to Armor Wars being this like courtroom drama with Rhodey, but like I know it would never have been that, you know. But if it is a Civil War-esque thing where Rhodey is still the prime member here, and then the supporting cast is just building something up, I would be intrigued by that. Because Rhodey's in the West Coast crew, right? He's Malibu. That's where Tony lived.
I'm unsure. I know for sure Kate Bishop is.
Yeah, and Shang-Chi's San Francisco.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, yeah, this lineup makes sense. Vision, now that I'm thinking about it, is
From New
interesting.
Jersey
We
to
haven't seen
California.
White Vision in a while. Ironheart should be in Cambridge, but it would make sense if she flew over here with Rhodey, being like, "What's going on over here? I'm another Iron guy."
Yeah, these Armor Wars. I have armor. You know.
Yeah,
Because
Wonder Man. Who's this guy?
Wonder Man. I don't know. Listen, there's a couple Marvel characters that I've seen. Like there was one recently. I saw this rumor that like, oh, this character is gonna be like the antagonist of Thunderbolts. I think their name's Sentry. It's like, this is Marvel's Superman. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Marvel's Superman? No, they don't have a Superman. They have Thor, which is Thor, the Viking, you know. But there's some of those cheap copies, they just didn't hit for me, you know. Like Deadpool over
Yeah.
Deathstroke, sure. But
So
yeah, I don't know.
now that I'm reading this, Deadline has a report that I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation. Yaya
Yaya
Ya-
Abdul-Mateen,
Yes, thank you.
the second.
He will be leading as Wonder Man in a Disney Plus series. We probably talked about this recently. This is in like October.
Interesting. We might have missed that because he's awesome. He was in Aquaman.
Yeah.
He was also in like Watchmen. The
Yeah,
the
he was
series.
amazing in Watchmen.
But I feel like I would have remembered because he has always been my choice to play live action Kratos.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, assuming they would have started with like Greek Kratos, because
Okay.
he is younger. But yeah, he is very, very good. And if he's in a Marvel project, I'll check it out. So yeah, Wonder Man, why not? Hell yeah, Wonder Man
Yeah.
on that team.
That's cool. I loved him in Watchmen.
Yeah. Dipping into Disney Plus series on this thread, 2024 we'll have Echo, Wonder Man, as you said, Agatha, so that would be slipping out of this year, and Daredevil Born Again. They go on to say that 2025 will be where the series slowed down a bit to be Vision Quest, which I've heard rumors about.
Yeah.
Midnight Angels, I don't know what that is, and Moon Knight Season 2. And they also mentioned the Kamar-Taj series setting up Doctor Strange 3 that we mentioned.
Right.
So, further,
Midnight Angels.
I see clarification on Midnight Angels in this thread.
Okay.
Midnight Angels will be the culmination of the world forces trying to invade Wakanda. It will be a spy action political thriller focused on Okoye, Anaka, and Ayo on a special task strike force to take out foreign military operations to delay war. Midnight Angels will be Disney Plus's Game of Thrones level series.
Huh.
Expect all major Wakanda players to appear.
Okay. Can I spoil a little bit of Black Panther 2 for you?
Yes.
So Midnight Angel is a suit that Okoye dons in Black Panther 2.
Okay.
It's the ugliest thing you've ever seen in your childhood.
Oh.
Like blue. So they make fun of it in the movie. They're like, this does not look good. Which has me thinking, why would you put it in the movie? But it is. And it's horrible looking, and I hope they redesign it. But that is, I think, the inspiration for this. I kind of forgot about it because I wanted to forget about it.
Oh, God. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. That's something.
It's really bad. Also, Ironheart's suit looks awful in that movie. They did not pull out all the stops for the suits.
Well, the concept of a Wakanda, like, premium drama sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Like, if we get a single show from the MCU on the level of Andor, it should be the Wakanda political thriller, right?
For sure. Yeah. And we talked about there's been like a Wakanda show in the works for a while.
Yeah.
And it seems like this is it.
I'd be into, because I know Ryan Coogler was working on, there was an Okoye show and then there was also a greater Wakanda show. So I wonder, it sounds like both of them kind of converged into this one, maybe.
Yeah, could be. Mm-hmm.
So would you be hurt by these delays? Because it sounds like all these projects would happen definitely before Secret Wars, and most of them would happen before Kang Dynasty.
No, I'm all set with these being delayed. That's fine. I kind of like the idea of Marvel being stretched out over a longer period of time than Phase 4 was. So take your time.
I agree.
It's also like 1,000 things.
Yeah, I forget most of the things that we just ran through.
Yeah.
But I hope that they Feige walks out on a stage and is like just real for a bit, like stop. Maybe I was foolish to believe there would be 2 Avengers movies in a year. Whatever changed that is like making that not happen is a good thing. Like, be serious, Kevin. Like, because what this phase would end up being if it ended in 2027, which is the possibility outlined in that thread if Avatar shakeup doesn't happen, that would have made phase or the second saga 6 years, 21 to 7.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have anything in 2020, so not a full 10 like phase 1, but like you do have the shows to help you accelerate things. 6 though feels like it's more breathable than, what was the plan? 4, 3.
Yeah, wasn't it going to end in 2025?
Yeah,
With both of them.
yeah, which is nuts.
So yeah, I agree. Like I said, I enjoy them taking their time. I think 6 years is a good compromise compared to the 10 it took. I also think there's a lot. Things are different with the MCU, of course. Mm-hmm. They started off with Paramount and other production companies until like it was all folded into Marvel Studios. So that I think took a while to get things going. And now that they're just pumping out stuff left and right now, it makes sense. It would take a shorter time to get there, to get to that endpoint of a second saga. So 6 years, I think, is pretty good.
I agree. And then we can finally get the original take on the X-Men in the 2030s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Probably.
I mean, honestly, yeah, I think that's likely currently. We'll definitely get X-Men characters in Secret Wars, but like, yeah, it's gonna be a bit. I think.
What I've heard is that they can't use. I don't know if this is true, but they can't use some Fox characters until like 2025.
Hmm.
I'm not certain on that, but that's what I've heard.
Well, they can definitely use Wolverine and Deadpool.
Yeah,
So isn't that all that matters?
I guess so.
Who's out here crying, begging for a Cyclops project?
I guess they did Cyclops dirty. A lot of people were upset with that take on him in the
Definitely,
X-Men movies.
for sure. But like, we've had a Captain America. You know,
Sure.
we can hold off on the second chisel jaw white boy leader. You know,
Yeah.
we can wait a little bit longer.
Sure.
But last bit of news on Fury's report. Very special shout out. Angela Bassett won Golden Globe for her performance in Black Panther 2, which was the first Golden Globe winner. Is it for a performance or ever for a Marvel feature?
That's a good question. I want to say ever. For sure, performance.
No, I think Ludwig Göransson won music, I think, for Black Panther there.
Okay, so yeah, for a performance then.
Yeah. Because it's definitely the first performance for sure. It might be the first Marvel greater thing. So,
Yeah, very well
congrats.
deserved. I think her performance was probably the best thing in Black Panther 2. She was excellent in it. Very, very well deserved, like I said. So this is fantastic.
Do you foresee an Academy Award nomination?
Maybe. It's possible. The Academy Awards, I was like really surprised when they nominated Black Panther as Best Picture.
Me too.
And so I think they certainly like that series. So I could see it. Sure.
Yeah. Well, we'll learn quite soon, I think, because those should be announced in the next like couple weeks. So,
Yep.
well, with that, time for a big topic. I'll think of a more creative Marvel name for the big topic in the future. But we got a
I
new
have a good
trailer.
name for a little topic.
Ah. Okay.
Something to do with Pym.
Oh, I thought you were making a Pym joke by just
Oh,
saying little
no.
because I wrote big,
No.
like the giant man.
Giant Man.
We got some Ant-Man stuff going on this week. Before we talk about the trailer, did you see that new poster? The good
I
one?
don't think so. Which I don't think I've seen this.
Okay, there's a really good poster. There's a terrible poster where it's just like Scott and then like Kang's face in the background and, you know, he's like doing action pose. There's an awesome one that is like side profile view of Ant-Man's helmet. Like, you know how they do the simulated shrinking effect on some of the posters?
Uh-huh.
It's that, but it's only 3 times, and the first one is Scott, the second one's Hope, the third one's Cassie.
Okay.
And it looks really cool.
Ooh, I'm gonna try and find this. Is it like purple and orange?
I think so, maybe.
Let me see. Anyways, I'll look for this.
Okay. We got Quantumania. It is purple and orange. It is that one you're thinking of.
All right, that one looks sick. It's
Yeah.
like Scott in the middle.
Yep.
Cassie, or someone in the Scott on the left, someone in the middle, someone on the right. That's a lot smaller.
Yeah, it's a cool play on the shrinking stuff they do in some of these
Oh.
posters. But
This is cool.
right, dude.
And they got Kang looking, back left. This kind of reminds me of like the Endgame poster.
Sure, that's a good one.
Less busy though.
Absolutely less busy. It's like 40 people on that Endgame poster.
Yeah.
But Endgame is an apt comparison, apt thing to bring up, Jack, because apparently this is like a sci-fi war epic I saw earlier today, and we got a trailer earlier this week. Did you get that vibe from it?
Yeah, it's very important, it seems.
Yeah.
Like very self-serious, which has me slightly worried
Okay.
as an Ant-Man guy.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this last week about a feigning excitement for this one because we both really like the Ant-Man movies.
Mm-hmm.
And this one's kind of got a weird vibe to it. I was going to bring this up last week. I might have actually, I don't remember, but and I might have said it to you privately, but when I saw the trailer for Quantumania before Avatar, like they kind of pulled like a Civil War with the title reveal in a way where it was like Ant-Man and the Wasp and then it like faded to shadow and it just said Quantumania.
Hmm.
Like I think they just wanted this to be like the Kang movie and call it Quantumania and Ant-Man's there. That's kind of the vibe.
Maybe. Certainly Kang's coming out party.
Yeah.
I guess that was in Loki, but this is, I think, capital K Kang.
Mm-hmm. So, did you feel any differently about this trailer compared to the first one, which kind of left me, not apathetic, but like in the middle?
I honestly don't know how to feel about the movie after both of these trailers. This one, certainly we seem to understand a little bit more about like the conflict going on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I like having Ant-Man as the fun hijinksy guy, and those movies kind of reflect that. And this seems really important. It seems like it's going to progress the MCU in like a significant way.
Yeah, but I'm also
Move
curious.
a chess piece across the board.
Yeah, for sure. I'm also wondering though if this is like trailer trickery, and it is gonna be that they're just trying to prop it up so people will go to it and go see it.
Sure.
Because like you look at the past couple Marvel movies that have been released in theaters, right? You have Wakanda Forever, which is a sequel to one of the most successful blockbusters and movies of the last decade, with a huge cultural impact and the death of your lead actor beforehand. Like that is so many eyes are on that movie when it comes out. Before that was Thor, which was a follow-up to the best Thor movie, but we saw how that went. Then Multiverse of Madness, which there was a lot of hype for off WandaVision, but here it's like Ant-Man, which I feel like is already kind of middling in the box office from my knowledge of it. So I wonder if they wanted to like give this feeling like it had more weight behind it in the marketing. Like you're also looking at a competition right now that is going to be Avatar, and it's like 12th week in theaters,
Right.
and it's probably still going to be outperforming the second weekend of Ant-Man, I think, at least probably.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I wonder if this is just all marketing hype and we're going to get Kang making some jokes.
Yeah, maybe. I'm curious to see. It's entirely possible the trailer is just a completely different tone, but it does seem like there's a serious plot at hand.
Yeah, for sure. Gonna be fascinating to see if that's actually the tone and how they manage that with Corey Stoll MODOK.
Dude.
Yeah.
He looks awful.
Now listen, I'm seeing people being like, "Don't make fun of MODOK. MODOK is stupid. It's part of it. Like it was always gonna look bad. Then don't do it."
No. Well, I think he'll be a comic relief in this.
For sure.
And if they don't, that will not be good. Like, the first thought I had when I sent you that screenshot of him in the background with his face like all magnified or whatever was exactly what everyone has been tweeting about is George Lopez in Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Yeah.
He looks exactly like that, and it's so funny.
Which is hilarious, Jack, because I think I sent this to you months ago when we got our first trailer for this. There was a shot of Spy Kids 3D Game Over.
Yeah.
Next to a shot from this with like Scott, Cassie, and Hope in the quantum realm against the green screens, and it looked the same. Like it looked like it was a similar art direction. So it's funny that Robert Rodriguez is getting a whole lot of meme mileage out of this movie.
Yeah,
But
it's a very similar vibes, seemingly, at least aesthetically.
yeah. So I don't know. I just don't like MODOK.
No.
Like when I was a kid, I was always like, "Oh, cool. That's weird." But having endured 250 hours of Marvel's Avengers and 40 minutes of that fucking MODOK show, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Granted, MODOK was like 1% of our experience with Marvel's Avengers,
That's true.
but yeah, I that didn't really sway me to be a MODOK guy.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see what Corey Stoll does with it. Uh, I guess. um, I don't like the direction they have with the Patton Oswalt MODOK, who I think he's voiced him a lot. I don't know. It's just seems right when I hear his voice coming out of MODOK.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think you're right. He's gonna be the comedic relief. Kang's gonna be the straight man. Big bad. Um, so yeah, interesting movie we got here. And there was a rumor that I want to throw in with this conversation that I mentioned to you before the show. I didn't get to like fully read into this yet, but I saw there were some reports saying like sources have told us that like the Fantastic Four might be like revealed or teased in here in some degree. There was, a long time ago, there was a rumor that like, what if the Fantastic Four were stuck in the quantum realm this whole time, and that's how they got their powers. And there was a report also that Adam Driver is allegedly the number one choice for Reed Richards. So,
Ooh,
what do you think of that?
Adam Driver. That would be fascinating.
Yeah, I'd love that.
I like that Adam Driver. He's got a very definitive voice.
Mm-hmm.
Very unique.
Yeah,
So
good
sure.
range.
Very good range. It's a good point.
So,
He played a really good Kylo Ren, and then he played a really good guy on SNL trying to not be Kylo Ren.
yeah, he's funny too.
He's very funny.
So, yeah, I know on the internet a lot of people are like, well, this person's only played a villain, so or like their most iconic role is a villain, so I can't take them seriously. But he's like a legit actor, and I
Yep.
think in a similar way to what I was saying with Professor X, I think there are interesting characteristics about Reed Richards from what I know that I think charisma but cold at times, like something is a little not fully there. I think he could pull that off, and I'd be into that. Do I think he's going to be in this movie? No, maybe a post credits at best, but yeah.
I'm worried that Ant-Man is not long for this universe. With the
Yeah.
tone of this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be sad.
Yeah.
He's
What-
got 2 replacements.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
I think there could also be a fake out here where the marketing is like teeing that up, but like what if the Ant-Man that dies is Hank?
Yeah.
I bet you Michael Douglas in the very limited screen time he has is probably as expensive as Paul Rudd is for the full movie.
Sure. I feel like they're also getting rid of a lot of the old guard
Yeah.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's possible.
Yeah. So we'll see if he survives, retires, whatever. He has a daughter who is very likely to be in whatever West Coast Avengers team we got going on. So we'll see what Ant-Man does. I am a little concerned, like you are, that there's too much in this thing, especially if that Fantastic Four rumor is real. That is a whole lot for an Ant-Man movie, I think.
Sure.
But
I want those guys. I want his crew.
yeah, well, some of them aren't in it, right? That was confirmed.
Yeah, it seems like they're not.
Dude.
When you take them out, you take the soul of Ant-Man movies out. Come on.
Yeah, I gotta know though. Is Michael Pena in this?
That's the main guy, right? Can't take him out.
Okay, hold on. I just looked this up. Michael Pena dresses as Ant-Man in the Wasp Quantumania Return. This is from the direct.
Okay.
God damn it. Okay, Michael Pena had an interview with comicbook.com, I think. Brandon Davis asked him, all this hero and villain talk, I have to ask you if you're coming back for more hero work over there at Quantumania. Michael Pena's response, who knows? Davis pushed, can you say anything? Michael Pena said, you can't.
So, that's weird.
Yeah, dude.
Why would you say that? He's probably in it. That's a weird KG response, but
Yeah.
why the secrecy?
But the thing is, he's gonna be in it for like the first 2 minutes, and then the rest of the movie's gonna take place in the quantum realm.
Yeah. No, exactly. You're exactly right.
So, the final scene with Luis is probably gonna be, we won't even realize it. It's gonna be the beginning of this movie.
Yeah. That's sad.
It is sad. But like you said, the old guard is shifting out. That's sort of been all of Phase 4. So we'll continue here. Will it just be Paul Rudd? Will it be the ex-con gang? Will it be Michael Douglas? We'll see. But
Evangeline Lilly's probably not long for the MCU either.
yeah.
She's like a few bad comments away from the whole internet turning on her.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Because I was originally also thinking, like, because she's still in this, I know they really haven't been, like, marketing her much, and I don't know if she's being, like, swept aside in the marketing or what, or if she's just not huge in the movie, but I was wondering, when you said, like, Scott has a replacement lined up, I was also going to say, like, I mean, Wasp was also a core Avengers member, so they could probably continue with her if they wanted to, but
Yeah.
because of that, yeah, I think you're right, like, it's probably just going to be Cassie.
Right. Yeah.
So we will see very soon. That's just around a month away, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, until then, Jack, where can the agents of Excelsior find you?
Sure. You can follow me on Twitter at FascinatedJack. We just did our JoyClicks Game of the Year discussion. That was fun. And you can check that out on youtube.com/joyclicks. Fun little discussion between you, me, and Omar Nakvi. So that was cool. And we have some things coming up in the future. We have a Hall of Game coming up soon. We have a fantasy critic that we may be streaming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure when.
Mm-hmm.
But that'll be fun to follow along with. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on for me. But what about you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and TikTok at Chun2D2. You can find the show on Twitter at ExcelsiorJC. You can find it on YouTube, premiering every weekend, youtube.com/joyclicks, where you can also go into the description and find the podcast version, or you can just go to your favorite podcast service like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Just look up Excelsior. You can probably still look up Avengers Podcast and find us. Or JoyClicks, and you will find it there. Rating and reviewing is the easiest way to help us out. It is free. It takes a quick second if you enjoy the show. And if you want to support us monetarily, you can check out patreon.com/JoyClicks at the $1 and $5 tiers. So thank you very much. And that is Excelsior for the week. We will be back as we approach closer to Ant-Man. And until then, Excelsior.
Excelsior.